A very good morning to everyone. The lecture for the today's topic is regarding superficial muscles of anterior, or we can say flexor compartment of the forearm. So there are total 8 muscles which is present in anterior compartment of the forearm. Out of these 8 muscles, there are 5 superficial muscles and the 3 deep muscles. The muscles of anterior compartment of forearm is also known as flexor muscles of the forearm, and these flexor muscles are stronger than the extension muscles. So keep in mind, all the superficial muscles of the forearm is supplied by the median nerve except flexor carpi ulnaris, which is supplied by ulnar nerve. You can see here this is common flexor origin, and from here the 5 muscles we can see. The first one is known as pronator teres, next one is known as flexor carpi radialis, third one with the short belly and the long tendon, that is palmaris longus, and the fourth one is known as flexor digitorum superficialis, and last one is known as flexor carpi ulnaris. Let's know the superficial muscles of anterior compartment of the forearm. So that is pronator teres. So origin is by two heads, that is by humeral head and the ulnar head. The origin of humeral head takes place from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, while the origin of ulnar head takes place from the medial margin of coronoid process of ulna. The insertion takes place in the radius bone, that is the rough impression of middle 1/3 of lateral surface of the radius. This is known as the radius, and this area is known as the middle 1/3 of the lateral surface of the radius. Nerve supply is by the median nerve, root value C6 and C7. The action of the pronator teres is pronation at the radio-ulnar joint as well as flexion of the elbow joint. And keep in mind, the median nerve passes between the two heads of the pronator teres. You can see here this is also known as the pronator teres. Flexor carpi radialis. The origin takes place from the anterior surface of medial epicondyle of the humerus, that is common flexor origin. Insertion takes place in the anterior aspect of the base of second and third metacarpal. This is known as the second and the third metacarpal, and this area is known as the base part of second and third metacarpal. Same how nerve supply is by median nerve, which is having root value C6 and the C7. The action, flexion and abduction of the wrist joint. So can you see here, this is something known as flexor carpi radialis. Palmaris longus. The main features about these muscles is it is having short belly and the long tendons. So origin takes place from the anterior surface of medial epicondyle of the humerus, that is by a common flexor origin, and insertion it continues as a palmar aponeurosis. Nerve supply by median nerve carrying root value C7 and C8. Action is flexion of the wrist joint. Note that morphologically it is a degenerated muscles with short belly and the long tendons. Palmar aponeurosis represent the distal part of tendon of palmaris longus muscle. You can see here in the diagram, this is the muscles known as palmaris longus with short belly and the long tendons. Flexor digitorum superficialis. Origin takes place from the two heads, that is humero-ulnar head and the radial head. The fibers which is originated from the humero-ulnar head are from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, medial collateral ligament of the elbow joint, and from the medial margin of coronoid process. Same how the origin takes place from the radial head, that is by the anterior oblique line of the radius. Now the main bulk of the muscles divides into 4 tendons. This is first, second, third and the fourth tendon, and counting is done from lateral to medial side. Now each tendons divides into 2 slips. Can you see here in the diagram? So each tendon divides into 2 slips, which goes and attached to the middle phalanx of medial forefinger. So this is medial forefinger except this thumb finger. Nerve supply is by median nerve, which is having root value C8 and T1. The action is flexion of the PIP joint, that is proximal interphalangeal joints, flexion of the metacarpophalangeal joints and the wrist joint. Flexor carpi ulnaris. Origin is from the humeral head as well as from the ulnar head. Humeral head, the origin is from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, that is common flexor origin, and ulnar head from the medial margin of olecranon process of ulna, as well as from the upper two-third or posterior border of ulna by an aponeurosis. Insertion takes place in the pisiform bone. From the pisiform bone, the insertion takes place into the hook of the hamate and to the base of the fifth metacarpal bone. Nerve supply is by ulnar nerve, which is having root value C7, C8 and T1. The action is flexion and adduction of the wrist joint. And note that ulnar nerve passes between the two head of the flexor carpi ulnaris.